Hello, it's me, ASMR Haydox, and I'm just letting you know that I'm a little bit sick right now, and this video is going to sound a little bit nasally. I hope you enjoy it regardless, and if you don't, let me know in the comments. Let me know how much I can put that 1-2-Switch is a bad game. It fails specifically as a party game by being utterly boring and lackluster. As one of the flagship titles for the Switch, I'm surprised Nintendo really wanted to push this overpriced piece of shovelware. 1-2-Switch is a compendium of ideas that'll kinda impress you the first time, but ultimately leave you disappointed as you spend more than an hour in this Switch launch title. To test out whether or not I was just playing with the wrong sort of people with the wrong sort of vibes, I went around my campus bringing my Switch to parties to play with some drunk college kids. While people, including myself, were entertained in the first hour and a half, the gimmick slowly starts to wear off and you see 1-2-Switch for what it really is. The same recycled stuff over and over. Nobody wanted to play this title after an hour. They wanted to see what else the Switch had to offer, like Snipper Clips or Super Bomberman R, both of which seemed to be more entertaining for myself and others while also being a better value overall. Every mini game here is a bore and so terribly designed. For example, you have tabletop tennis, a sub-game that tasks both players with looking at one another to know when to hit the ball back and forth. Even on the screen, the ball disappears, so you have to use your instincts to hit it. Wow, how innovative. The Wii U had the gamepad, the Wii had motion controls, and the Switch has apparently the fourth dimension and our subconsciousness. Not only does this mechanic make it extremely difficult to know what the hell is happening and thus less enjoyable for everyone involved, it doesn't make any sense. Surely it might have been better to just keep showing the ball or actually create some animations for characters when they hit the ball instead of lazy nothingness on the screen. But I suppose that's the whole gimmicky appeal of this schlock, right? You play the games with your eyes in HD rumble that really doesn't feel high definition but rather hugely disappointing. The same goes for virtually every mini game here, even milking cows. Admittedly, the goofiness will make you chuckle because everything else is so mundane, but this humor is still pretty lowbrow and follows in the footsteps of the LOVX random category of humor I despise. Whoa, haha, yep, we're milking a cow, haha, wee, how random. It's funny because it's a visual representation of Nintendo milking money out of consumers for their awfully overpriced game that should have been bundled with the system. Oh, but I get it, Nintendo needs to make a profit. It has to be $50. But maybe if they didn't need an assortment of actors and actresses to act out their minigames in an admittedly well-directed and edited fashion, they could have cut down costs. Remember implementing Mii's? Remember basic reading tutorials? If Nintendo had done that, I'm positive the budget would have gone down for 1-2-Switch to be bundled with the system and be inoffensive at worst. Of course, the only charming aspect of 1-2-Switch are these bits, but they do not make or break my experience. They're silly to me in an ironic sense. However, I don't think the central focus or selling point of your party game, designed to be enjoyed with a variety of human beings, should be an MP4 or an AVI file. Or maybe it's a .mov file, I'm not sure. See, the great tragedy of 1-2-Switch is just how dull it is for a supposed big first-party launch game for the Switch. Don't get me wrong, I like the Switch, but I wish there was something else I could play with friends like the Wii U had with NintendoLand. Did anyone else love this bundled-in title as much as I did? Because holy hell, it was a lot of fun with my buddies. While more complicated than Wii Sports, obviously, my grandpa wouldn't be able to ease his way into something like Metroid Blast, it's not a detriment to the game itself. NintendoLand has a lot of strengths for a party game. The aforementioned Metroid Blast was such a cool experience. It utilized the gamepad well for Samus's gunship, and also the Wiimotes for ground combat. Whether you were competitively fighting the gunship as a soldier or working together, in most cases, to make your way through gauntlet gauntlets to thwart Ridley, you were bound to have a great time with your friends. Then you had Luigi's Ghost Mansion, where a player on the gamepad would try to spook the players with Wiimotes to death. Coordinating with teammates to defeat the gamepad player added a layer of competitiveness that caused frustration and satisfaction to whoever lost or won. It's basically glorified hide-and-go-seek, but it works tremendously well. Oh, and there's also The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest, where you team up as a group of Hylian archers and swordsmen trying to make your way through a set track of challenging enemies and puzzles. Again, Battle Quest is a simple concept, but one well executed, providing a level of difficulty perfect for wanting to keep playing and playing. The sword controls are, as many have noted, basically one-to-one, which further exhibits the brilliance of this minigame. Wait, oh, there's also Mario Chase, which is so great. Oh, there's also Animal Crossing Sweet Day, a cute, weird take on Capture the Flag. Oh, and then there's that Pikmin adventure game too, and, well, you get my point. Most of these parts of NintendoLand, barring one or two I couldn't care less about, reek of polish and well-thought-out game design. In stark contrast to the individual parts of 1-2 Switch, NintendoLand's minigames felt like a fully fleshed out experience that could count as a conventional game by its own merits. It's clear there was a lot of effort and thought put into designing these stages, missions, and different modes. You could argue 1-2 Switch wasn't intended to be as fleshed out as NintendoLand, and yeah, that's true. It was most likely intended to be a cheap, low-effort, marketable cash grab. Metroid Blast, one sub-game in NintendoLand out of numerous others, is better than any minigame in 1-2 Switch. Imagine if 1-2 Switch had as much thought and care put in it as NintendoLand had. What if the developers chose to implement Nintendo characters or themes so it wouldn't be so run-of-the-mill? Imagine the milking minigame of 1-2 Switch but in Moo Moo Meadows or on Romani Ranch, and you have to milk these cows before a driver crashes into them or the aliens get them. Some more aspects like these, and the game probably wouldn't have been so mundane. Just because the Switch has this brand new gimmick of HD Rumble doesn't mean that the game that uses it has to be so standard and basic. A great example of how you can make a gimmick into something more than just a gimmick is Wii Sports. I love Wii Sports. Now, like 1-2 Switch, it has a simple concept. You move around sticks fitted for to try to accomplish some task or minigame. And one could argue that 1-2 Switch is better because it has more variety than Wii Sports in terms of the number of minigames it has. But remember, quality is more important than quantity, which is where Wii Sports really outshines every boring, uninspired minigame 1-2 Switch boasts. Each game is easy to understand and play without a useless scene where people have to act out for you what you have to do. Wii Sports treats you like an adult. It doesn't assume you have the intelligence of a left Joy-Con. It plops you into baseball, tennis, boxing, golf, or bowling, and gives you a tutorial so simple that the elderly could do it. The genius of Wii Sports is that it's an entertaining party game for everyone. Not only that, but you can see everything happening on screen at all times, and it's very personal, seeing as you only use your customizable Miis. There's a certain charm here that 1-2 Switch can't pull off with its drab presentation. You can't get attached to what you're doing, and the games are so short and boring that you never feel like replaying them over and over. 1-2 Switch fails at being a successful, enjoyable party game. It lacks any real personality and feels like something a marketing team concocted to incentivize people to buy their hardware in the most safe, mundane way possible. If this is an omen of party games on the Switch to come, I'm concerned. What could have been this great Switch-oriented party game that uses the Joy-Cons and some of Nintendo's IPs is a terribly boring, repetitive dust collector. I found no enjoyment out of playing 1-2 Switch for more than 45 minutes to an hour. Not a good sign for a $50 release. Don't buy this game. Don't even wait for a price drop or sale. It isn't worth playing. It isn't even fun. It's a bad game, which I hope Nintendo reflects on and makes what we all want. NintendoLand 2. That or a more traditional Paper Mario game, Pikmin 4, Super Mario Sunshine 2, Metroid, and the list goes on and on. As always, if you disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Have a wonderful day. And goodbye.